make sure you stop by Half Shell on the Bayou. Tell the owner, Mark, that we said hello. Because I'm telling you, everybody who ate there enjoyed themselves and they thought the food was amazing and they thought that the service was great and people started taking pictures with Mark. It was awesome. So thank you, Mark. Shout out to Mark over at Half Shell on the Bayou for all you did to make our event successful. We appreciate that. So without further ado, I do want to tell you tonight, I always tell you it's a special night, but this is another special night. And I'm going to give you just a little bit of reason why. Back when I was a newly published author, I was living in Maryland, and I used to check my email all the time. Back then, we didn't have Facebook and Twitter and all of that. We had email. And so we used to have these listservs. And then one day I checked my email, and it was an email from this gentleman who said that Cush City was looking for me because they wanted to place an order for my book, Cheating in the Next Room. And I was like, oh my goodness, I thought it was so exciting because, you know, back then, like I said, we didn't have Amazon either. Well, we had Amazon, but it really wasn't as popping as it is now. So I used to call cushcity.com the Black Authors Amazon because people wanted to be on Cush City. That's what they strove for. So when I found out that Cush City was looking for me to put my books on their website, I was excited. And then I got to be even more excited as I got to know Miss Gwen Richardson, who's the owner of Cush City. And then we would get to talking with each other and we got to know each other better. And I found out that this lady is a really big supporter of African American authors. She's the type of lady who will come out looking for you. She knows that there's an author who might be making a little bit of noise. She wants to help them make noise. There have been times when I actually did get picked up by a publisher. She would say, okay, let me call this publisher and see if I can get some of your books over here. That was the kind of person that she was and still is. And now she's taken what she does even further. She does publicity for authors. She also has started what's called the National Black Book Festival, which has been going on for quite a few years now. I remember when it first started, and can't wait to get out to Houston so I can be a part of it one of these days. And I'm looking forward to sending some of my clients out there. So without further ado, I want you to meet this lady who has helped so many authors get on the map, basically, and to be able to sell their books and to make a name for themselves. So right now, let's meet Miss Gwen Richardson. Hi, Miss Gwen.
Hi, how are you doing? Hi, Rhonda.
Hi. How's it going? How's it going?
Everything's great. We
Wonderful.
Houston. We're trying to get past the heat wave we had, but it was hot here in the summer, but it was super hot. It was just
You
horrible.
know, that's something that we have to deal with when we're living in the South. I mean, we're in Louisiana. It kind of cooled off a little bit today, but it's hot. I mean, you walk down the street and you're sweating. So you're living in Texas, so you know how it is. And over in Mississippi, it's the same way. Alabama, it was the same way. And then you know about Atlanta. It was hot up in
Yes,
Georgia as well. I guess it's what we have to deal with living in the South, huh?
it is.
So one thing I did when I talked about you, one thing I neglected to say is that you've been helping all of these authors, but you're an author yourself.
Yes, I have 8 books, and hopefully I'll have a couple of more in another 2 years.
Wow. Okay, now see, I didn't even know you had 8 books.
One novel. I have 8.
Okay. And now one of them I picked up myself because I'm getting my daughter prepared to go to college. She's going to be leaving for Clark Atlanta next week. And but your story actually really motivated me because you were able to send your daughter to college with no debt. Uh-oh.
HBCU, and no, not $1 of debt, not a single dollar. She got her degree in May, and she graduated debt free.
That
And
is
so my
amazing.
mission, among my other missions that I've had, but I really do have a new mission to help thousands of young people graduate from college with no debt.
Amazing.
Because the average debt keeps going up and up and up. And now there's more college loan debt than credit card debt. cumulatively.
I agree.
It's second.
I
College loan debt is second only to mortgages, and it's
mm,
the only debt that you cannot eliminate through bankruptcy.
wow. See,
It
I didn't know
follows you
that.
forever. Yeah, it college loan debt
Mm. So
eliminate ever.
that
So
that
that's
is
why the
crazy.
biggest growing group of people in debt now for college loans are over 60.
Mm. And that's amazing
Fastest
because
growing group.
and I learned that lesson. First of all, my daughter is basically going to college debt free, but there were a lot of hidden expenses that we didn't even think about. So we get there. She gets into college. She's going on my GI Bill, so she's going basically for free. But then we find out that there's an enrollment fee. So okay, I'm like, all right, cool, we got the enrollment fee. But then they turned around and then there were other fees. There was the meal plan, and then there's the lodging. And we're like, oh my goodness, this money needs to hurry up and kick in because there are a lot of fees that we just didn't plan on. Most people just look at the tuition and say, okay, I think we can handle that. And then they don't see all of the other fees that come in once your child's actually accepted.
They have to eat and they have to have somewhere to live. And the combination of those two can be, $8,000-9,000 a year
Yes,
easily.
you're absolutely right. It is about $10,000 more for my daughter. So fortunately, a lot of that's going to be taken care of with the GI Bill. But it was a lesson that she also had to learn because she said, okay, now I'm going to have to apply for some more scholarships because that's a burden that we didn't plan for.
Right. And then books are very expensive now.
Yes.
They are a lot more expensive than they were. Some of these, a lot of the instruction and the assignments are online. You have
You have to have a good computer.
this is a book.
So so since we're talking about that, what are some
Dollars a
tips that
course.
I'm sorry?
No, I said they're between $150 and $200 a class for that
Yes.
key.
Yes, you're absolutely
So
right.
it's not inexpensive. I mean, it's and just living. They have to have spending money. They have to have money. So the tips I would give your audience, and this is actually sort of not necessarily the topic that we had started on, but I'm on a crusade for debt-free college, so I can talk about it anytime and love talking about it. But what I tell parents is the most important thing that you can do if you have a high schooler is start looking at the process and for money when they're in 10th grade. A lot of people make the mistake thinking they can wait to senior year. No. Because, one, there are some scholarships you can apply for in 10th grade and win money for your future college
Mhm.
matriculation. Two, you need to know what requirements there are for the major scholarships you want to obtain. And let's say a particular scholarship requires you to have 30 hours of community service. Well, if you don't find out about it until a week
Yes.
before the deadline, you can't have those hours. Or a lot of it, if they need an official transcript, it takes a minute to get an official transcript. A lot of people you have to either, if they're in high school, you have to go to the guidance counselor, you have to wait, they have to mail it, it has to be, or they have to email it, it has to be in by a certain time. You're not the only one they're doing it for, so you can't wait to the deadline for any of this. And so the best thing you can do is start in the 10th grade. And the book that I wrote about that, which is called 101 Scholarship Applications, and the subhead is What It Takes to Obtain a Debt-Free College Education. It has all my strategies and tips that I used. It also has almost 300 scholarships in it. So if you get the book, you will already be exposed to uh, almost 300 scholarship opportunities with the requirements and the dollar amount and everything. A lot of people will say, well, you can just go online. Yeah, you can, but it's not organized.
Yes.
I spent months doing that online searching, months and months and months, hours and hours and hours. I tell people I spent that over 5 years. I spent 2,000 hours looking for and applying for money for my daughter. So it's not streamlined. When you go online, it's here and there. It's not in an organized fashion. And so what my book does, it puts it in an organized fashion. And my book, the scholarships are organized by deadline date. Mm-hmm. So you can literally go and open the page to whatever time you get the book, August. You can look and see what's coming up for August and September, October. So you're not just randomly looking and searching. That's really challenging. I spent months doing that, so other people won't have to do it, and I can share all of my strategies, all of my tips, all of the things that people need to know. There's really not anybody telling you that. It's just learned by doing and trial and error.
Yes.
And my book takes a lot of the trial and error out. So if people want to get my book, they can go on my website, which is GwenRichardson.com, or they can order it on Amazon, on Kindle, or paperback. Just pull up Gwen Richardson, because I have 8 books. But normally that book comes up first. And every January I do a revised edition. So the newest one is going to normally come up at the top,
Okay.
which is the 2018.
Well, we did get a question from the audience. Diana Simpson wants to know what scholarships are available for those who are already in college.
Okay, that's a good question. Most people don't realize that most scholarships, and I would say probably 75% of scholarships are for people already in college. So the majority of the ones you're going to find are for matriculating college students. It may be 80%. The ones that only for high schoolers are not, it's not that big a number. Most scholarships require that you be an undergraduate student. Or you could be a high school senior that just graduated and is an incoming freshman. But I'm going to say 80% of them, you have to be in college already. And some of them, you have to be past your freshman year. It depends on what the scholarship is. But if it's in a particular major they're looking for, a lot of times they want you to be a sophomore or above, because they want to make sure that you can handle the college experience.
Right.
And that you did well enough, and that you gained the experience of going to college and you were successful your freshman year. So there's tons and tons and tons and tons of money out there. There's millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Okay, and now I'm going to ask you this.
I'm not going to just drop in anybody's lap.
Right. Now, I did want to ask you this question, and actually that's a great segue to the question, and then we're going to take a quick commercial break after that. But what is your response to people who say, I'm not applying for scholarships because I don't have time, or I don't feel like writing another essay, or I have too many other things to do? What is your response to somebody who would say something like that and who may be passing up on college money or scholarship money because of that?
Well, time is money, and either you have the time in advance so your child or the student doesn't have debt for the rest of their life. You can either spend the time now and not have the debt for the rest of your life, or refuse to spend the time and have debt hanging over your neck for 30 years or more, because that's what's happening to millions of students.
Amen. Amen. And scholarships.
So life is about choices.
Amen.
You have to make the choice, make the right choice.
And one
the choice is to eliminate the debt.
Exactly. And one thing I told my daughter is that just because your college is paid for does not mean that you can't apply for scholarships. Some of those scholarships actually come to you in cash, which means that now you have some help when you need to buy books, or you have some help when you need to eat, or when you need to get transportation. And now your GI Bill money or your scholarship money can go toward school, but now you actually have some money in your pocket if you keep applying for these scholarships.
You can, and here's the other thing. The school can only accept the amount of tuition and fees and then 10% over. Okay, so if your bill is paid, then you can still apply for scholarships, because that 10% over that you get in, which depending on the amount of the education, but there's a certain amount they can designate for expenses, transportation, books. And so if the money goes to the school, they refund the student that overage
Yes.
in cash. So, and most scholarships go to the school, 90% of them. But every year we were able to get $1,000 or $2,000 that went directly to my daughter, and then when she got over, and the junior and senior years, she got over and she couldn't even apply anymore because she had too much money that she couldn't apply for any more scholarships.
That's a beautiful problem to have.
That is, and sometimes it would be frustrating because it'd be a $5,000 scholarship that we could not accept because they asked the school, is the person's bill paid? And, you know, any outstanding bills. And if your bill is completely paid, they give it to somebody else. So,
wow.
But if it's within that 10%, they refund it to the student in cash, or they put it in your bank account or write you a check. And so that helps pay the ongoing expenses, just, you know, living as a student.
You still have to live. All right, well, we're going to take a short break. And then when we get back, I want to talk to you a little bit more about Cush City and the platform that you gave to authors. And then we're going to move right into the National Black Book Festival, because we had some people asking us some questions about that. So we'll talk about that when we get right back. So you stay right there. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. There's some great information that's going to be valuable for every author out there. So stay tuned and like, comment, and share while we're gone. We'll be right back.
Here at Jones Insurance, your full-service agency, let us take care of all your insurance needs. We provide homeowners insurance, flood, rental, commercial, auto, and life insurance. Don't let the unexpected tragedy destroy your family's future. Here at Jones Insurance, 7603 West Bank Expressway, Monroe, Louisiana, 772. Contact Lois at 504-348-1492.
We're back. Talk What You Know returns on Wednesday mornings at 8 a.m. We got a brand new co-host by the name of Bob B. And hey, that's me. Also, we got some new features. We're going to be giving away, have a weekly raffle of prizes. There are multiple ways for you to win, and there's a bevy of prizes. So we need you to come on back, join us on Wednesday mornings at 8 o'clock for Talk What You Know on the New Orleans Talk Network.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Change positions.
Hey, we're back. And we are still talking with Miss Gwen Richardson, who is an accomplished NAACP Image Award nominated author. She is the owner of Cush City. She is the founder of the National Black Book Festival. But right now we're going to talk a little bit about Cush City. I don't know if you heard me at the top of the show that Cush City was kind of our black authors Amazon for a while. You know, everybody wanted to get their books in the Cush City. And then you took it a little step further and you started doing the book clubs, the book club lists, and the author list. And then you started doing the posters, the Black History Month posters. And I believe I was actually a part of one of those posters. And then you moved on to the National Black Book Festival. So let's talk a little bit about Cush City and how it got started.
Okay, for both of those, I want to say I'm a co-founder because my husband and I did it together.
Yes, and which I think is an awesome thing that you were able to start this business together and actually grow it together.
Yes, we've been in business. We've been married for 25 years, and Cush City will be 20 years old in December. It's hard,
Wow. I didn't
but
realize it had been that
yep,
long.
20 years. We've been around consistently. One of the few that started off when the internet kind of took off and is still around
Okay, well,
in the same.
we actually have your website right here for those of you who've never been to cushcity.com. We talk about it in the past, but Cush City is still around. Cush City is still selling books. They're still promoting authors. There's so much that you're doing with with the bookstore now. It's not just the bookstore.
Right. Well, we started off only online. And then we opened a brick and mortar store about a year after that. And we had the brick and mortar store for 10 years. And then we closed it 8 years ago. So, and what happened was the same thing that's happened to a lot of independent bookstores, brick and mortar. They just the internet just took over and everything went online. And so, since we were already an internet based, we just went back to that. And we used to do retail. When we first went online, we were 100% retail.
Yes.
But now we're 10% retail.
Okay.
That's how it's evolved. We started doing based on author demand. We started doing marketing because the authors wanted to know how to get their book out there to the public without having to spend a fortune.
And that's a big
Because you
thing.
can spend a fortune. You can spend a fortune and
Yes.
still not be.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a really big thing. There are so many authors who are trying to get their names out there. They're trying to get their books out there, but the platforms that are being offered to them are quite expensive. I mean, there are some people who are charging $1,000 for placement, and if you're an author just starting out, you don't really have that type of money.
Right. And unless they're offering you placement in the niche where your book is, it won't really help you.
Right.
When you marketing, and that's what my degree is in marketing. Marketing is all about finding your customer and getting your information in front of that customer consistently.
Right.
So if you are, for example, if you are a romance author and you are trying to promote your book to mystery readers,
It's not going to
you're
work.
not going to get that much success.
Right.
So you have to sell to people who want to buy what you're selling. And a lot of people make the mistake, especially new authors, of saying when you ask them who's the audience for their book,
They say everybody.
they'll say everybody. And nothing is for everybody. You know, there's certain people who need certain things at certain times.
Yes.
Just like my scholarship book is for high schoolers, college students, and their parents. You know, it's not if your kids are in elementary school, you don't need it. If your kids are adults and grown and gone, you don't need it. So you have to know your market. And so we started doing the marketing for authors, and then the National Black Book Festival, we started it 11 years ago.
I cannot believe it's been 11 years already. I remember when you started it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this year in October it will be our 11th anniversary.
Wow.
And we have a good group of featured authors, which your names people know, they've established authors that we invite as featured authors. And then we normally have about 100 less well established authors in all kinds of genres that exhibit and sell their books.
Now, I have a question. Now, how does a less established author find a way to stand out in something so big? I mean, 100 authors, and then you have all of these well-known authors that you know the readers are going to flock to. You have Eric Jerome Dickey, I believe, is coming.
Yes.
Yes, and you know, people are going to go to his books because he's Eric Jerome Dickey. But now, let's say an author who's just starting out gets there, they might feel a little overwhelmed. They're going to say, "Oh, I didn't get a chance to sell any books. There were just so many authors there." How do you help that person stand out?
That's a good question. We do several things. One, all of the authors are grouped by category. So they're not just all together in a room where people they can't navigate
Right.
them. It's kind of like a bookstore or a library. So if you're looking for books about motivation or children's books or mysteries or whatever, and we normally have about 18 genres that come, then it's easier to sell your book. Again, you're selling to people who are interested in what you have.
Yes.
And then we also promote each author in advance of the event on our Facebook page, where we have 84,000 people, which is not common in this space
No, not at all.
to have that big a number. For each author who registers, they send us a photo and we promote it as a sponsored ad for 2 days in advance of the event. So that helps people know that they're going to be there.
I think we have a flyer of the National Black Book Festival, because we actually got another question. Somebody wants to know when it is and where it is. So we're going to go ahead and put this flyer up so they can see it. There it is.
All right. It's always in October. It's the last weekend in October. It's in Houston. And the venue is Fallbrook Church, but it's in their sports facility. And Fallbrook is one of the biggest black churches in Houston.
I was about to
They
say,
have a
yeah.
very modern and large sports facility that's attached to the sanctuary. So it's not in the sanctuary. It's in the sports facility. And it's the parking's free, and they have all the amenities that any event would need. So that's the church that I attend. And we've been there. This will be our 6th year there.
Okay, so where did you have
we have workshops there too.
Okay.
And then there's other things that the authors can do. We have opportunities for them to speak, but it's not every author who speaks. It's kind of random. Sometimes we'll have a drawing. Sometimes we'll do a game where we have the author who comes the furthest distance, or the one that's written the most books, they get to speak. So they have opportunities to do that. We have an event called the Book Club Meet and Greet, where we have about 80 book club members.
Nice.
That sit for an hour and get to hear a pitch for authors so they can feature selection. And that's included with that.
Now, I think that's awesome that you would have a pitch session, so to speak. And I've gone to something like that. There's a book club. Well, they're here in New Orleans, and they're also in Houston, I believe. But they had an event here in New Orleans, and they invited authors to come and basically pitch their book to that one club. And then the book got to choose which was going to be their book of the year. And it was a really nice experience, and I enjoyed listening to all the pitches. And they even gave the authors a chance to go in different places of the room, and then the attendees got up and actually got a chance to go and talk to the authors. So I think something like that is an amazing opportunity for an author, because authors aren't just book writers. They're basically business owners. They're entrepreneurs. So they have to get out there and sell their book. And they may be able to take that book and maybe make it a platform to something else.
Yes. So we have several different things that they can do at the event where they to help them stand out among the crowd. But when we have our featured authors, of course, they bring in numbers
Of course.
of people because the people who read are coming to see those people. And we also, where we have the speakers, the featured authors speak in the same area as the exhibit. So people literally have to come through the exhibit area
Right.
to even sit down in the area where the featured authors are speaking. So we keep the traffic in the same area. Because I've been to some events where the authors are off in a different room or different building even.
Yeah, I've
And
seen that.
doesn't work because you have to keep your traffic together.
Yes. So is this a lesson learned from the very beginning? What have you done to make the conference better over the years? This is your 11th year, and I'm quite sure your 11th year looks totally different from your very first year. So what are some lessons learned that you were able to apply to help to build on the success of the festival?
Well, the traffic issue was one. We had to learn about keeping all the traffic together. And we have always tried to add value. So when people register, they're getting more than just an exhibit space. They're getting some exposure with it. And we have breakfast with both days included with our exhibits. And most people don't feed you unless you pay a huge amount of money for an exhibit. And it's not a continental breakfast, it's an actual breakfast. So we added that because that way people don't have to try to find food.
Yes.
Eating is important when you go to especially when you're out of town. You don't want to
Yes.
have to leave. So we try to keep and we added a food court with good food. So we learned a lot from that. And we also learned that the individual authors, there's things that they need, the new authors especially.
Yes.
So we added some professional workshops so that, for example, we have one on social media, how to maximize your social media presence.
Nice.
We have one this year on one on how-tos of self-publishing. We actually have a publisher coming in, not the kind of publisher that buys the rights and then publishes your book. This publisher mostly publishes books by self-published authors. So they're going to come in and spend 2 hours with questions about formatting and book cover design.
And book cover design is a big thing because some people will, no matter how good the book is, they will pass it up if the cover doesn't capture their attention.
Yes, and I tell people, if you don't want your end product to look like an amateur did it, like a 10-year-old winning to do some clip art, you just don't want that for your end product. Now, all of my books are self-published, and a lot of people, when I tell them that, they're surprised because they look so professional.
And we actually have some of your book covers right here. We can bring them in. And they do look very professional.
Okay. Yeah, I get a professional to design my covers.
Mm-hmm.
I get a professional to do my editing and proofreading, even though I'm an editor too. I've edited books and proofread them. But because of that, I don't need heavy editing and proofreading. But I get someone else who's a professional to do it. I don't try to proofread my own stuff.
And that's a big thing because I think some people feel like and I used to feel that way too. I mean, I'm a pretty good writer, and I remember when I wrote Cheating in the Next Room, I said I'm just going to edit it myself. I know how to write. I mean, I taught journalism. I knew how to write, but there are certain things that your eyes are going to skip over because your mind knows what it's supposed to say. And sometimes we get very close to our writing, and so we don't really capture those mistakes like somebody else would who's a disinterested party.
Yeah, you need a fresh set of eyes looking at your work.
Yes. And I even do that now with my journalism. I mean, hey, look at this for me. Make sure I got it right.
Yes. So after 11 years in doing this book event, I have learned a whole lot. It's a lot of work, and I tell people who sometimes people think we make it look easy. It's not.
Yes.
But they think they can do the same thing. It and I tell people, and I'll tell you, and I'll tell the public, the reason why the National Black Book Festival works is because I give my professional time for basically minimum wage.
Mm.
And if I weren't doing that, if I weren't spending hundreds of hours on it and not being compensated at the rate that I should be,
Yes.
then it wouldn't happen.
Wow. That's some
It would be
real
very
honest
difficult
talk
to get
right there.
someone with, yeah, it would be nearly impossible to get someone with my experience and credentials to do this kind of work and not be highly paid.
Yeah, you're absolutely
So
right.
that's why it works.
But why do you do it?
Well, one, it needs to be done. It needs to be done. We will, and when I say we, I say Black people. We're always looking to someone else to do the things that we need to do. And as Black bookstores have closed around the country, the opportunity for Black authors to meet the public, to meet the reading public, has drastically diminished.
Yes.
A lot of times, if a person publishes a book, they have a book signing or a book launch, they invite their friends and family, and then after that, there's nobody. Where are they going to find readers?
Yes.
They can find them online, but it's something like a face-to-face. Actually, meeting readers is an invaluable experience.
I tell people all the time, many of the books I sold when I was actively going out and doing book signings, when I was actively writing, many of the books I sold, people didn't know who I was, but they bought my books because they liked me, because I actually engaged them. And I wasn't trying to do that hard sell. I was just laughing and talking with them. And they say, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and buy your book. I really like you. I said I wasn't going to spend any more money, but I'm going to get your book. And they did that because I set a rapport with them. But that can only happen when we do face-to-face. We can't, and as I mentioned earlier, we didn't have Facebook back in the day. So we couldn't make ourselves Facebook famous or Instagram famous back then. We had to go and talk to people face-to-face.
Yes, and Facebook is great. I advertise on Facebook. I advertise the festival on Facebook, and I advertise my own books on Facebook. Not all of them. I'm promoting 2 of them regularly, my scholarship book and then my novel. And it's good, but there's no replacement for face-to-face. When I do face-to-face, it's the energy, it's just an easy sell if you're talking to the right audience.
You're right about that. You are so right. Well, we're going to take one more quick little break. And when we get back, I want to talk to you about what it is that's helped you to stay in the game for so long, because you opened Cush City 20 years ago. You started the Black Book Festival 11 years ago, and you're still here, and you're still promoting, and you're still doing your thing. So we're going to talk a little bit about what it is that gives you your staying power. So you stay right there, and you all stay right there. We have 10 minutes left on the show, people. Go ahead, like, share, comment. This is a great show, great information, and I'm glad that you are here for it. So stay right there. We'll be right back.
Oh, how the time flies. What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Dr. Rhonda M Lawson. And can you believe that it has been 1 year since Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions hit your airwaves? We have interviewed authors, entrepreneurs, playwrights, musicians, and everyone in between, all to bring you the best in literary conversation. And we plan to do it again this year, but only better. So join us right here in the Literary Lounge each Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on the New Orleans Talk Network. See you there.
Are you looking for a home to live stream your next event? Give us a call here at Bethesda Community Event Center, the only place on the Gulf Coast that can host and broadcast live your wedding reception, your baby shower, business seminar, and any other special event. Give us a call at 504-708-9454 for more details.
Happy Merry Mondays. It's your girl, Mary J. I want you to tune in with me to Real Talk with Mary J on New Orleans Talk Network every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Then follow me to blogtalkradio.com/Real Talk with Mary J at 10 p.m. It's going to be a Merry Monday every Monday at 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. You've just tuned in to New Orleans Talk Network.
And we're back. So we have 10 minutes left in the show. We've been sitting here having a great conversation with Gwen Richardson, the co-founder of CushCity.com bookstore and the co-founder of the National Black Book Festival. She is a publicist. She is a NAACP award nominated author. She's authored 8 books. She has a daughter that she's put in through college absolutely free, debt free. This is an accomplished woman. I am so honored to have her on the show. So, Ms. Gwen, what is it that gives you your staying power?
Well, one is I'm a committed entrepreneur. I haven't worked for anybody since I was 25.
Wow.
And so I won't tell you how many years that is, but it's a few. When I was 15, I knew I wanted to be in business. And so after I got out of college, I started pretty early on figuring out what I wanted to go into, and I just did it. Yeah, when you're in your 20s, you're not as risk averse as you are when you get older. So one is I'm a committed entrepreneur. And two, I have always had a passion for doing things in an excellent way to benefit African American people. And so once we got into the book space, I just kept going in that direction, kept responding to the market. You know, we've constantly evolved our company, but we're still in the book space. A lot of people got caught and didn't understand. Well, we went online. We started off online.
Yes.
So we've always understood the net. It's constantly evolving. You can't now this is something new. Doing this talk thing on Google Hangouts. I didn't even know about it until today.
I taught us something new, yes!
But now that I know about it, I can use it. And I'm going to use it for what I do to help promote authors. I'm going to figure out how to get something going. I might end up doing something at the festival using it. You know,
not a bad idea.
People.
In fact, I think you should get Meet the World Image Solutions. You should get Meet the World Image Solutions to come and do some on-the-spot interviews of authors during the festival. I think that's what should happen.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that. That sounds like a really good idea. You know, the details have to be worked out.
Yes.
They will be great because we want to get the word out. And I know you've had an audience. You have a committed audience. And you have the right audience. And one thing I tell writers, not everybody reads books. Especially in our community, it's a very small percentage of readers.
Yes.
And you have to be able to reach the readers, not the watchers, because a lot of people watch TV, a DVD, watch movies, they watch Netflix, but how many actually sit down and read a book? And so you can't sell ice to Eskimo or...
You know, it's amazing because it used to be at one time, if we went to, let's say, the DMV, or if we went to the doctor's office and we were sitting around waiting, we would read a book. But now, if we're sitting around waiting, we'll play Candy Crush, or we'll play, those other phone games, or we'll just scroll Facebook. We do something like that. And that could be time where we're actually sitting down and reading a book. But we have a lot of people who say, I don't read. Not that they don't have time, but that they don't read.
They don't read. They don't read books.
Right.
Yeah, they read things online. Now, I'm one of those creatures. When I go to the doctor, I take my Kindle.
Mm-hmm.
And so I read while I'm waiting.
Yes.
But I know a lot of people. Now, it used to be where you read magazines at the doctor's office. And now when I go, they have old people. People don't even pick them up. They're not even, they're on their phones. So, but I'm committed to doing this effort. I think it's a needed effort. It needs to be done in a professional way.
Yeah.
Not haphazardly or half-stepping. And we can't look at some of these other book events like BEA, which is the Book Expo.
Yes.
Or Texas Book Festival. The Texas Book Festival normally has about 200 authors, but they'll have maybe 5 of them will be Black.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't get the exposure. We just don't get included. And the only ones of us who do get included in those major big events are people who've already made it.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
So their names people know. But if you're an up-and-comer trying to build a reputation as a writer and an author, then it's difficult. Good news the past week with some of our authors. Victoria Christopher Murray got a movie deal.
I saw that.
Of her books. I know Beverly Jenkins got some kind of through the media.
Amazing.
So there are people who are making some things happen, and we need to keep those people. And Victoria's been featured at several of our book festivals this year, but I think the last 5 in a row, Victoria was one of our featured authors. So we continue to support the authors and keep their among us.
Well, let's talk. We have a couple minutes left. Who are some of the featured authors this year? You mentioned Victoria. We mentioned Eric Jerome Dickey. Who are some of the other featured authors this year? And can we go ahead and put the flyer back up?
This year.
I'm sorry?
She came the last 5 years. Victoria's not coming this year.
Oh, okay.
She came the last 5 years. But we didn't get her this year because she had to be at the Delta conference at the same time. But this year we have Kim Coles.
Nice.
Who from Living Single. She has 3 books and she's being featured. Tanana Redu and her husband Stephen Barnes.
Okay.
They both write in that supernatural category, and they're coming together to make a joint appearance. And then Stephanie Powell Watts, she won the NACP Image Award this year for Best Debut Novel, No One Is Coming to Save Us. And we have 2 Christian fiction authors, Michelle Stimson and Tiffany Warren.
Okay.
And then we have a mystery author. She does legal mysteries, Pamela Samuels Young. She won the Image Award a few years back. We have a children's that's featured named Derek Barnes, and he's won several awards recently for his children.
Amazing. Now,
Jonathan, he's been writing for a long time, and he's going to be our speaker for the Power Lunch on Friday.
Wonderful. Okay, now, unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show, but we have one last quick question. Diana wants to know if there's a book that you suggest for beginner writers.
Oh, I have one of my books is called Write It Right, The Guide to Self-Publishing Your Best Book.
Okay.
Amazon. It tells you everything you need to know how to get started, how to come up with whatever idea you're going to use for the book, how to make it continue, how to market it once it's published.
Awesome. Okay, can you repeat the name of it again?
It's called Write It Right, WRITE, RIGHT.
Okay, so you got that,
And
Diana?
you
It's
just-
Write It Right.
Yeah, go to my website or Amazon and pull up my name and you'll find it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really enjoyed talking with you and getting to know you better. Thank you for all that you've done for me in my early days as an author, and thank you for what you continue to do for African American authors. We need more people like you who are out there supporting us, helping us to build our platforms. So thank you for joining us tonight, and thank you for joining us in the conversation. Thank you for everybody who took part in the conversation. And we will be back next week with 2 more exciting authors, so you stay with us. And Miss Gwen, you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And we're going to talk later about the festival stuff.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Have a great
Bye-bye.
night.
Hope it wasn't an echo on my end. Great. Ooh, I got 12%. I'll do this one.
Oh, how the time flies. What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Dr. Rhonda M Lawson. And can you believe that it has been 1 year since Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions hit your airwaves? We have interviewed authors, entrepreneurs, playwrights, musicians, and everyone in between, all to bring you the best in literary conversation. And we plan to do it again this year, but only better. So join us right here in the Literary Lounge each Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on the New Orleans Talk